Hi everybody, it's AJ speaking. Nvidia currently trades pre-market at $179 per share. I just wanted to give you a quick update what this implies in terms of valuation levels and whether it's time to trim. On this slide you can see two things. Number one, on the right axis you can see the forward multiple, and you can see that Nvidia is just returning to the median valuation level that was observable over the last 12 months. And that's why I called earlier in April this year for a strong buy. Because for a company that grows as quickly as Nvidia and is so dominant in its industry, a multiple of below 25 times is absurd. So the second item that you see in this slide is this grayish line. This is the share price. This sits on the left axis. And you can see we are just touching just under $180 per share. This is the smoothed earnings outlook based on my earnings forecast that we will be using in the next step. I will not go into detail in this short presentation how this was derived. I explained this before. If you want to know more details, search on my profile in the subscriber section for my Nvidia forecast. Historically, my quarterly forecasts for Nvidia were exceptionally correct. I had a very low error rate. So with the projected earnings stream that you just looked at and the historically implied forward multiples that we looked at the beginning in the first chart, we can now plot a expected share price corridor. For this corridor to be correct, number one, my earnings forecast must be somewhat correct. It doesn't have to nail it, but ballpark be correct. And number two, the multiple in Nvidia stays at the level observable over the last 12 months. And remember, the multiple reflects the sentiment in a specific stock, in a specific industry. And the AI sentiment is very strong, obviously, right now. I don't expect this to change anytime soon. So based on these two key assumptions, what we can see is that the stock price just returned into the expected trading range. In other words, the various one-offs that weighed on Nvidia's share price earlier this year, for example, the investor uncertainty around global tariff wars, the sudden ban of the H20, and then the reversal of that decision, the panic, the complete undue panic about the DeepSeek breakthrough in January, all this stuff was now priced back out of the stock again. And this is why we see a return of the stock to a more historic trading level. Since the stock is only now returning into the expected range and is not trading advice, I would not expect, or I would not recommend a trim at this point. Typically, it's best to let your winners run, and Nvidia certainly is one of these winners. So on this chart, you then see my next 12 months price target, which currently sits at $240 per share, which would be over 30% upside over the next 12 months, which is highly attractive, because keep in mind, this is still a relatively low PE stock. This is not a stock you should compare to a company like Palantir, which has also still upside potential, but you take on a lot of risk. Similar to Tesla, Tesla is also very attractive upside potential, but because of the very high PE ratio, you do take on a lot more risk. Nvidia is a completely different story because its large valuation is entirely backed up by earnings. And this is why the multiple is still relatively low, even though Nvidia at this point trades well over 4 trillion market cap. In general, I find market cap discussions dumb because all that matters is the valuation level. And at 31 times forward multiple, Nvidia is nowhere near overpriced. There is absolutely no hype in Nvidia. Rather, uninformed people or people who have an agenda, they stupidly, in my opinion, compare Nvidia to companies like Cisco. These two companies have absolutely nothing together with each other. And I debunked this myth a long time ago, because Cisco was trading at a multiple in the hundreds. And Nvidia, in contrast, only briefly got close to 90 times PE. That was in late 2021 and early 2022, but this was due to certain one-off things that I explained previously. And you would have done phenomenally well had you invested at that time in Nvidia. So the bottom line is, based on what we know today, relative to Nvidia, relative to the market, it's not the time to trim. There's still significant upside in this stock. Should this change, rest assured, I will give you a heads up. With that, I hope you enjoy your gains you had thus far with Nvidia. There appears to be a lot more to come in. Thanks, bye.